into InGame Live Prime Time, hour number one of our 2-hour extravaganza. Scott Wetzel, Matt Perrault for the next 2 glorious hours, right up until 10 p.m. Eastern Time, watching and, more importantly, betting, and most importantly, hopefully winning with the boys in Vegas. A little NBA, we got some college basketball and some NHL. We'll no doubt look at the NFL, look at the line, see if there's been any changes over the last couple of days as we get set for our championship games. We'll have some fun. Black Cloud, same game parlay. Cam Stewart will join us. George Kurtz will join us later this hour to talk a little hockey. So it should be a busy and, again, hopefully profitable next 2 hours. What's going on, Matt? How are you tonight, bud?
Good. How are you? A lot of college basketball rolling on the moment. I'm on a couple of games we can get into during the hour and a game coming up later on tonight at 6 o'clock. You like Houston a lot. Are you on the Houston under tonight?
I am on the under. It's an automatic play for me. It's basically covered about 67% of the time, 2 out of every 3, which at the end of the year, I'll take that. So under 135.5, 136, depending on where you do your shopping at BYU. And I think they win at BYU tonight as well. Like Houston and the under, a little combo there.
Yeah, I'm on BYU. I took the points. It's going to be, I think, a difficult opponent for them to go on the road. They don't play very often in Provo. We know that they're going to be jacked up for BYU. And look, it's interesting because BYU at home has been tremendous against the number. I believe they're 9-2 ATS. And you look at the record for Houston on the road, they haven't been great. They're actually, one of those teams you look at, they're 2-5 away from home ATS. And you're like, okay, where are their losses? Well, their losses have come at home. Their last 2 road games in the Big 12, that's when they hit that swoon and they dropped it. So I got 3 last night. It's dropped down to 2.5 here. What's wild is the opening number for this was actually 135. The numbers, the pros are betting the over in that game, which I don't really agree with, but I think you're on the right side. I lean to the under in that game, given both teams. Both teams defensively are tremendous. The metrics are wild. They're very, very similar to how they want to play. It's going to come down to who hits jump shots, basically. Like, you're not going to get to the rim on either team. Their defense is so good at protecting the paint that this is a jump shooting contest to me. I think BYU rides the home crowd, but I like your underplay. I'm surprised that the number's going up.
Yeah, they've been doing that this year, Matt. It's kind of weird. Like I said, they've gone under 2 out of every 3, which is typical for Houston with Kelvin Sampson. And for whatever reason, if you look at their dayline moves, it always seems to be going up. Not a lot, but a couple of points where you think, okay, the bettors are betting overs for some goofy reason. I don't get it, but that's why I generally wait till the very end and I don't let that affect me. A little disappointed in Kentucky. They're down 6 at South Carolina. And if you remember, someone pointed out, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. South Carolina beat Kentucky last year as 19-point road underdogs, snapped the Wildcats' long home game win streak. And I thought for sure Kentucky would be all fired up tonight. Yet they've been held to down 29 points, but they had 25 points at halftime. I mean, down 8 at halftime, now it's down to 4. But still, I thought Kentucky would be up double digits right now.
Yeah, I took the 5. So South Carolina has been a house of horrors for Kentucky. Now, these are games involving kids when they were in high school. But the last 3 trips for Kentucky to South Carolina, they're 0-3. So they haven't covered. They've only won one of those games. They've lost 2 of them. It's the defense for South Carolina. They're taking the air out of the basketball. They're not. This literally is a team that's 350th in college basketball in tempo versus number 10 for Kentucky. So it's complete opposites as to how they're going to play. And generally speaking, I lean towards the home team in those situations because you have a raucous atmosphere and you have a chance to take the air out of the ball and really control the way that game is going to be played. So everyone was talking about the big guy coming back tonight for Kentucky, and that's why they were going to run. I was like, wait, give the kid a couple of games to get his feet wet in college basketball. He's jumping right in the middle of conference play. So I was okay with taking the points. That number climbed up to 5 last night, and I took it for South Carolina. And I thought they'd win the game outright tonight, just given the way Kentucky, much like Houston, you look at the way these teams, top teams on the road in conference, they are literally endangered species to find victories. Yeah. It's so hard to win on the road right now in college basketball that taking home dogs, it's been a profitable strategy for me here, in the month of January, just looking at the numbers. And when there's a decent home team catching points, I'm generally taking it.
Yeah, it's amazing. This year's been a strong, especially the last couple of weeks. So good college basketball slate. We got some NBA games. Beginning of the year, you would have said we had some monster games, but Lakers and Clippers, not really. Nets and Knicks, not really. But big news coming down from the NBA. We'll get to here with the coach being fired, but also just released, about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, baseball's Hall of Fame people getting inducted. We got Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer with Beltre and Mauer, Matt, on first ballot. I don't know how you feel about this, but generally speaking, I don't care if the guy gets in on the second ballot or the 10th. It seems to me you're either Hall of Famer or you're not. However, I do give special credence to first ballot guys. And why overall, I guess I don't have a problem with these guys getting in, especially Helton. They're not first ballot Hall of Famers, Mauer and Beltre. And quite frankly, never in the 50 years that Adrian Beltre played did I ever say I'm looking at a Hall of Famer. Numbers, yep, he accumulated the numbers, but to me, he was never a Hall of Fame player. Very good player with the Red Sox for a year, put up the big numbers, but again, did I think he was a Hall of Famer? No, and especially not a first ballot. So a little disappointed in that.
Yeah. I'm like the worst person ever for this, because if I have to think about you being a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. Like, I don't get into the nuances. I'm kind of the way you are. I look at the eye test and go, when my team was playing your team, was I really worried about you? Were you one of the best players at your position during your career consecutively? When we watched baseball, were we talking about you as being one of the elite players of the game, given the time you played in? I'm with you on Beltre. I'm cool with the other two. The only problem I have is that if you watch baseball and you don't think Andrew Jones is a Hall of Famer, I'm sorry, you don't know baseball. I mean, that guy not getting in today was like, wait a minute, what are we doing here? He was absolutely the best center fielder for years. He was spectacular. He was power at the plate. He hit for average. He was a Gold Glove center fielder. He was a tremendous talent for the Atlanta Braves. I have absolutely no idea. If you're voting for the Hall of Fame, how are you not voting Andrew Jones in? That's my only issue, that he didn't get in today. I was stunned that Andrew Jones got left off.
I feel that way about Billy Wagner. Give me another stat where you can be in the top 10 in your category, major stat, and yet not be in the Hall of Fame. I don't get it. I don't know what relievers, closers, obviously specifically have to do, but the guy is in the top 10 running backs, all in the Hall of Fame. Top 10 passers, all in the Hall of Fame. Top 10 wide receivers, top 10 wins baseball, top 10, you name the sport, points basketball. Every single one, they're all in the Hall of Fame except top 10 closers in baseball. I don't, like I said, I don't know what you have to do to get respect to be a closer. I know it's opened the door a little bit, but not completely to me. I think he's a Hall of Famer, Matt. It's
because the old timers don't know how to deal with relievers and don't have to deal with guys that come in and get 3 outs. That's the struggle. It's what makes you great. If you're leading 6-3 every time you come in, is that really a Hall of Fame pitcher if he gets a save and gives up 1 run and gets the save?
Yeah, it's difficult, but like I said, you get that many saves, 300 plus, to me, you're a Hall of Famer. So, all right, we look at the NBA board, the hockey board, college basketball board. We come back in Game Live, Prime Time.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit and had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knicks fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity. Indiana was playing great. Didn't play deep. Brought him off the bench. And now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going into a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home. But I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA. And they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Welcome back, InGame Live, Prime Time. Just getting underway. Hour number one. Scott Wetzel, Matt Perrault until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We got a little NBA. We got some college basketball. Got some NHL to get to. Continue to talk a little baseball. George Kurtz joined us in about a half hour or so. Cam Stewart, hour number two. We'll go over some hockey, some football stuff with him, and whatever else is on his plate, which is usually almost anything. So big news out of the NBA, Matt, as the Milwaukee Bucks, despite being 30-13, tied for the second-best record in the NBA, fired their first-year head coach. Makes absolutely no sense on paper, outside looking in. Clearly, there's got to be more to this story than meets the eye. Let's hear from Coach Young, who was on Game Time Decisions today with Kevin Walsh.
Giannis runs the show. It's very obvious. Like, if you think about it, folks, they got rid of Mike Budenholzer, and Kevin and I both have talked about the issues with Budenholzer. So when you go and you are close to winning a championship, right? So two of the top three guys that you're interviewing are Adrian Griffin and Nick Nurse. One guy's one of the five best coaches in the NBA, has an NBA title. Another guy's never been the head coach. So what do? You go and you hire Adrian Griffin. Then, all right, then you go and hire Terry Stotts as an experienced assistant because Kevin and I have talked about it. You need to have some kind of experience on the bench. Look what happened with Joe Mazzulla last year, so on and so forth. They're bringing Terry Stotts. Here comes Dane. There goes Stotts. Stotts is gone. Oh, like 2 weeks later, he's gone. This team is being run by Giannis. Giannis is getting whatever the hell he wants. And I'm going to say this, folks, and maybe this is me as a coach saying this. At some point, you have to look in the mirror of your players, particularly your best player, and say, maybe this is on you. So what are we going to do now, Milwaukee? You're going to go hire Doc Rivers? Like that is the solution to this. It's going to Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers, who could have won with the Clippers, who could have won with the Sixers, is going to go and save the day in Milwaukee. Lord have mercy. I pray to God that the Sixers play the Bucks in the playoffs, and I will run to the window and put everything I have on Philadelphia because Doc is not the answer, and now Giannis has to take ownership for what he did in Milwaukee. And the last thing, Giannis, how about this, bro? You want to be the best player in the world? Because now I just said it. I think Joel Embiid's the best player in the world. Why don't you do this, brother? Let me see you start to guard the best player. Let me see you guard Jimmy Butler. Let me see you guard Tyrese Halliburton. Let me see you step up to the plate and not hide. Let Jalen Brunson drop a 50-piece on you, 40-some-odd points on around Christmas. Let me see you step up, Giannis, because right now there's a lot of bad should be going towards Giannis's way because this is why this is all going down in Milwaukee.
All right, there you go, Matt. Your response. What do you think?
I mean, he's not wrong. I agree with everything Coach just said. I think if you're a Bucks fan, you woke up today and you said, all right, our team chose chaos. And I don't really understand the decision. Look, if he was as bad defensively as everyone says he is, and as bad of a communicator as everybody's saying he is, and this is the knock, people are like, how would you fire a guy who's 30-13? Well, they're saying couldn't communicate, team was defensively was awful, and there's some truth to that. Look at the numbers. A defensive-minded coach. Defensively, the Bucks have been atrocious. They've been an offensive-minded team, but they've always been an offensive-minded team. That's when you think about the Bucks, it's not a defensive grinder of a team. This is an offense that runs through Giannis, who can go and drop 50 on you on a given night. So I think everybody went like, wait, hold on a second. You're firing this guy? That was the first piece. The second piece is where Coach really is right. The idea of hiring Doc Rivers in the East is comical. I mean, we know what's going to happen in the East if Doc Rivers takes over this team. I mean, nobody has blown more leads in the playoffs than Doc Rivers. And you're going to go ahead and install him on the second best team in the Eastern Conference. And look what the Miami Heat did today, okay? Getting Scary Terry coming on back. This is going to be a very interesting playoffs. Boston plays Thursday up against Miami. First time we'll see Terry Rozier playing against his former team, now with the Miami Heat. That's a lot of fun. That's going to be an awesome game to watch when Boston goes down there, given what happened last year in the postseason. I'm with them. I mean, this is the Eastern Conference putting Doc Rivers back into this race at this point in time for Milwaukee. I don't understand it at all. This is reaching, Scott. This is a team in trouble in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's another player that's collected more paychecks from different teams than Doc Rivers, right? I mean, everywhere he goes, he says he's brought in as the savior. He doesn't save. He gets fired, and he's got years left on his contract, and now he's going to get another opportunity with another great team. It's never the Charlotte Hornets or pick a team that's not really good, right? It's always teams that think they can win, yet they bring in the guy who's shown he can't win outside of the year in Boston. I don't get. I would like to tie in, though, Matt. All right, if you tell me this is Giannis's move, okay. I'm not close enough to the organization to say otherwise, but how do you know that? Did he not have a say in the hire? Did he really what player goes to management and says, I want to play more defense? Part of the defensive problem is Giannis not playing any defense. So I don't buy the defense. No one's playing defense in the NBA. I mean, nobody outside of literally a couple of teams. So I don't see 28 teams firing head coaches.
Right.
And they are successful. They are winning. So there's got to be more to it than it's not just Giannis not liking the guy, if that's really the case. And it's not about defense. You don't fire a guy 30-13 because you're not winning games 100-80 versus 120-100. I don't buy that at all.
And we may learn more. It's very possible we might get more to the story. When I first saw it, I went, is this Ime Udoka 2.0? Like, I was like, wait a minute, you can't fire a guy who's 30-13. Like, there's got to be some massive off-the-court scandal that they just uncovered that they're getting ahead of before the tabloids grab all of it and it turns into just a circus sideshow. That was my first reaction. And then everyone kind of pushed back and said, no, Matt. This is because this was the pick by Giannis. He wanted AG to be the coach. He signed the extension. The team said, fine, we'll give you whatever you want. He signed. And now maybe he is angry about the choice he made, and maybe they would have been 30-13 without AG being the head coach. And they want a, quote, real coach now to come in, or a guy who really is going to be able to take them to where they want to go. I'm with you, though. I'm going to wait for the other shoe to drop. It feels like there's more going on here behind the scenes, and this might just be like the indication, the tip of the iceberg of a really big problem inside that organization, that the Bucks might be really a mess internally. And we're going to find out here in the next couple of days, because if they go get Doc Rivers, oh my, And it sounds like they're going to, because you wouldn't move off of Griffin if you didn't have a guy lined up. And it sounds like they got Doc already lined up. And my guess is tomorrow they'll make the announcement that Doc Rivers is the new head coach in Milwaukee.
Wow. 30-13. They've won 5 of their last 6, albeit, a couple of games against Detroit, but still. And if he did handpick him, you're right. You're 100% right, man. He already signed. So if Milwaukee's front office really had any backbone, they would say, hey, sorry, you know what? Ink's on the contract there, Giannis. You picked this guy. You don't like him now? Too bad. You can't go anywhere. We got you now for the next 6 years, so there's no threatening that you're going to leave in a couple of years. Deal with it. You stand up to these players. Man, this NBA is so bad. It is run by the players. Every hook and cranny, it is done by the NBA players, man. It's unbearable now. I grew up loving the NBA, loving Boston and the Lakers and the whole bit. You can't watch it now. You just can't watch it.
I can still watch it, but I get your point. I mean, it's because basketball is the one sport that one player can literally change your entire franchise. So if you took Giannis off the Bucks, where are they? I mean, they're the Hornets, right? They're just a horrible basketball team. So the player, the superstar, does command so much power because they get to dictate to the organization what they want. But in this case, when you're 30-13, I need to know more. There has to be something else here, because 30 wins out of 43 games is a really impressive start to the year.
Yeah, I mean, how much better would they be if they liked the head coach? Is that what you're telling me? You're going to be that much better? Really? I mean, wow. All right, we'll look at the NBA board when we come back to InGame Live. PrimeTime.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit, had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knicks fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity. Indiana was playing great. Didn't play deep. Brought him off the bench. And now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going into a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home. But I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time. Scott Wetzel, Matt Perrault, until 10 p.m. Eastern time. Just running down the NBA, talking about the big move by the Milwaukee Bucks. And a correlated move before we get to the games here, Matt. I am curious to see how the Minnesota Teacups, as I like to call them, respond after Chris Finch had the audacity, the balls, the guts, the backbone to actually call out his team, head coach of Minnesota, after their loss last night, in which Karl Anthony Towns goes for 62, and he basically rips Towns and the team for not playing good basketball. Hey, man, you know what? I hope the poor guy can survive this, and I'm real curious to see how they respond. Minnesota, they play Washington tomorrow, a game they really should win by 40 points, right? But we'll see. Good luck being an NBA head coach when you want to try and stand up to your players, because if a guy with the second best record in the NBA can get fired because I don't know what he did, but what's going to happen to a head coach who calls out his players as Finch did last night? I applaud him, but I may be seeing him on the unemployment line soon.
I think it's not a new thing in the NBA, but I think it's becoming a little bit more of an epidemic or more of a problem now in the NBA, because we have a lot of head coaches that are just there because they've either been handpicked by somebody inside the organization or they've been handpicked by a player on the court. And so there's somebody to blame for that person, that coach, if it doesn't work. So if the owner installed them or if one of the star players installs them, so when things aren't perfect, you can point and say, this isn't working. This is your fault. We're going to remove this guy because you're the one who picked this person to be there. So teams that are young, like the Timberwolves, you're going to go through coaches until you find the right guy. This is why it's so amazing what the Spurs have done with Greg Popovich, where they can lose and lose and lose, and it doesn't matter. Like, nobody is touching Greg Popovich, and then he can get Wembanyama and keep on losing, but it doesn't matter how much they lose because they see the future, and they're like, we have a unicorn. This guy's amazing. Let's see what he is in 3 years, and Pop re-signed for that reason. So certain organizations have patience, but for the vast majority of the NBA, I mean, it is a very small window to prove yourself. And even when you do prove yourself, you could be gone a year or two after a championship if everything's not perfect. So it's hard. It's definitely, a musical chair type of situation in the NBA where there's a lot of guys getting fired midseason now, where before it was always after the year is over. Now it's midseason. This is happening more and more.
Yeah. Now, like you said, literally year and a half, 2 years after you win a championship, you can still get whacked in the case of Budenholzer and Nurse. Crazy. So, light schedule tonight in the NBA. Some decent games, I guess. Would have been nicer if Halliburton was playing for Indiana. He's not, unfortunately. Hosting Denver, the world champs. 73 all. Midway through the third quarter, there was a lower scoring game, but it's picked up here in the second half. So, the over-under, 5 straight unders for Indiana with Halliburton out, but right now it's on pace for the regular season, or the regular number heading into the game, 238.5. Denver's laying 3.5 after being about a 6 or 7 point favorite to start the game. Matt, any thoughts on this one? Before the game and now.
Yeah, not on the game of the moment, just on Denver as a whole. I think when we're talking about the Eastern Conference, and you brought it up when the Nuggets played the Celtics, I think it was last Friday night when we were talking, and you said you were on the Nuggets, I was on the Celtics. And I really looked at that Boston team, and I thought they would rise to the occasion. And they went the other way. They scored 39 points in the second half against that Denver Nuggets defense. And the Celtics don't have size. They have Porzingis. They have height. They don't have size. So when you have a guy like Jokic who can really get whatever shot he wants against Boston, your offense has to be clicking. And I was really impressed with the defensive effort for Denver in the second half on the road against the Celtics, sort of reminding Boston that if we see you down the stretch, we can rise and we can level up if we need to and take care of business and win on the road and shut you down when we need to. They're taking on a team like Indiana tonight, and they just kind of shut it off. They go at 85%, 80%. They just don't play up. They play down to level their competition. So it's just something to remind all of us, like when this team gets to the playoffs, they're still the best team in basketball when healthy. And when Murray and Jokic plays like this, they're accounting for like 58% of their offense right now. 2 guys. and they're arguably, one of the best shooting guards and the best big in basketball. And I know what Joel did last night, and that was incredible. And I know what Kat did last night. That's incredible. Joker's still the best big in basketball, and he is just unstoppable when he wants to be. It's just hard to figure out what night do they want to play. Like, do they want to win this game? They don't need to. It's just hard to figure out when Denver is going to give you their best effort.
Yeah, and when they do, that they shut teams down. So it's hard to bet their over-unders as well, because sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. I still think this one's going to go under, maybe fourth quarter. They'll turn it on late, and you'll get another under with the Indiana Pacers. 5 straight unders for the Knicks. I don't know if it's necessarily since the trade with Toronto, but 5 straight unders. This one's well on pace for an under as they play at the Brooklyn Nets. Kind of a weird series between these two. There's really not, Matt, living in this area, there's, like, if you could find for every 10 Knicks fans, you'll find maybe literally one Nets fan. It's so one-sided, more so than any of the sports here in the New York, New Jersey area. So Knicks have won 3 straight after the Nets had won either 9 or 11 straight against the Knicks. But it's been a New York thing. It's been an under series. Under again tonight, 50-46, closing minute and a half of the first half. So well on pace for the original number, which was 222. It's down to 213.5. And the Knicks now laying 4.5, up 4, final minute and a half of the first half.
Yeah, the Nets are a team that, look, as a Celtics fan, I'll always be appreciative of what they were able to do to set Boston up by taking off the aging veterans off the roster that they did. Yeah. But I mean, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, it set Boston up. It was, they haven't really won a championship yet, but it's set up where we are right now with Boston year in and year out being one of the best franchises in the NBA. But they haven't. The Nets went after it, and they shot their shot and they missed the king. It's like when you go after it, you can't miss, and they missed badly. And now it's just they're going to be in the doldrums of the NBA for the foreseeable future, and I don't see them coming out of it. And people are saying the rivalry between the Knicks and the Nets. I'm like, what rivalry do you? I mean, there's no rivalry between the Nets and the Knicks. There's no hatred. There's, other than the geographical locations of the two teams, that is the only way you can justify or even try to come up with some angle to go we got to sell the game somehow. Well, okay, they're rivals. This is not a rivalry. This is a one-sided affair. I don't care what the outcomes are on the court. There are more Knicks fans in that building than Nets fans.
Yeah. The only chance, Matt, they had of having a decent rivalry is if Kyrie would have stayed with the Nets and been successful. Because there was some buzz. Right. He's from New Jersey. And Knicks fans were saying, come to New York and do your super team here in New York. And instead he chose Brooklyn. But he turned it into a mental midget, and that whole thing just imploded so quickly that it was just okay, great. You know what? He's all yours. Thank goodness, Brooklyn Nets fans. Thank goodness, Nets organization. So, but had he been successful, then maybe. But, there isn't. So, Pelicans at home against the Jazz. Heckle and Jai team for the Utah Jazz. Very good at home, right? But awful on the road. 15-6 at home. I don't know how you explain this. 7-16 on the road. They're really not even competitive a lot of times. They're down 6 early on, late first quarter. Line still 6.5, which I think is actually a halfway decent number. That's what it was to start the game, 6.5, 7. I do think the Pelicans win. I would grab them an over-under 239.5.
Yeah, the Jazz are a really hard team to bet because they're so young. And they're so inconsistent. And even at home, I mean, they can have great performances. They're better, I guess, taking them if they're ever a home dog. You can take them. They tend to play much harder. And then on the road, they're so inexperienced. They're a really hard team. I was betting them a little earlier in the year, and I stopped because I had a hard time figuring out which team was going to show up, kind of like the Nuggets in some ways, just on a different level. And I stopped betting them. So, I mean, on the road, no, I can't ever touch them. I can't take points or lay points with the Jazz. I think fading them is probably the only way to go in that game.
How about OKC? I got to tell you, I do a lot of research and stuff for different games, this, that, what have you, but this one slipped by me. I must admit. OKC leading Portland tonight, 37-25. Again, for closing seconds of the first quarter, early on. Line is up to 17.5. It was double digits. I think 13.5 to start the game. 237.5 is your over-under. The Thunder at home, Matt. Well, I tell you what, 16-5 straight up, and more importantly, against the spread. They
right?
are a covering machine. I mean, I knew they were good, but I did not realize they were this good at home. 16-5 straight up and against the spread. What do you make? Are they an automatic play? Would you even play them now, laying 17.5?
I don't know, man, that big of a number, but I do like them at home a lot. The one weird thing is what happened to Holmgren? Like, he was a guy that you could like pencil in for 15 points a game, and he really was leading the Rookie of the Year charge. And he only has 4 points tonight. His offense has really gone south. The team keeps going. The team has played well, but that was like an open and shut case for Rookie of the Year for a better part of a month, 2 months into the season, where it was like, my goodness, look what he's doing. Chet was killing people, and almost like the book is out on him now is to go and shut him down and make somebody else beat you, and he can't figure out what to do. It's been like a 2-week swoon for him. SGA is still SGA. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I want these guys in the playoffs, and I want these guys to have maybe a top 4 seed to get a home court series, because I want to see what the Thunder can do, because they're young enough and just they don't know any better. Like, let's see who they can knock off.
Yeah,
because I think they'll be a difficult team to face in the postseason.
Do they have? Yeah, I'm not a big MVP voter. I don't like betting on things that I gotta try and read other people's minds on what they're gonna vote on. But can SGA? Can he do enough to get into the public limelight to overcome Embiid and all the other great players? Or is he just going to be someone that's going to be on his side? And you're not, no matter how successful they are, can't vote.
They got to be really, really excited. Like, they got to be almost like 2 seed type. Like, they got to be really, really, and they maybe even have to be 1 seed type to get over on the East Coast voters. It's going to be hard from a guy from OKC without the star power of a Kevin Durant to win the MVP out of the Thunder.
Yeah, and they just don't play that often on national TV either. That's the other thing. So,
right.
Baseball hockey talk with our boy George Kurtz coming up next here on the Grid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit, had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knicks fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity. Indiana was playing great. Didn't play D, brought him off the bench, and now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going into a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home. But I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And welcome in game live, prime time. Scott Wetzel, Matt Perrault for another hour and 20 minutes or so. Checking out some NBA, some college basketball, a little hockey as well as we welcome in our guy who knows the NHL like no other, and some baseball talk with our guy, George Kurtz. What's going on, George? Got the baseball. Let's do a little baseball first before we get to the hockey board real quickly. Hall of Fame announcements tonight. So we got Beltre, Helton, and Mauer in, and Wagner, Sheffield, Jones, and company out. Your thoughts?
All right. Now, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, and I'm sure you've heard me say this before, Scotty, I don't care. Okay, I just don't care. I don't mean about I like talking about it, but it's not the Hall of Fame anymore. And it hasn't been the Hall of Fame for 20 years. It's the Hall of Very Good is really what it's come down to. And it's so I don't care. I mean, we got guys in there who are not Hall of Famers, for the love of God, here. And then, of course, you have the steroid problems as well here. All right, we're never going to vote for Manny. We're never going to vote for Rodriguez and, Barry Bonds. Which, okay, are we really so stupid to believe that steroid users aren't already in? And Sheffield came so close. I'm sorry, wasn't he in the Balco report too? Oh, he didn't know. Yeah. All right, yeah. Give me a break here. All right, so either you're voting him in or you're not voting him in. You can't vote Sheffield in, but say, I'm not going to vote Manny and A-Rod. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. I know Ortiz and all. I mean, like I said, I think it's a fun debate topic, but, maybe it's just to get off my lawn as I get older. I don't know. But as far as Helton, Mauer, Beltre, I mean, Beltre should get in. All right, I'm good with Beltre. If Mauer would have stayed a catcher, I'm probably good there. Listen, either you are a Hall of Famer or you're not. I don't think first ballot makes a difference. You are or you aren't. Come on. The first ballot thing, that's ridiculous. I understand maybe it's more tradition. It goes, Mickey Mantle didn't get on the first ballot and guys like that. It's just stupid in my mind. But it's a fun little topic to me. But I don't know if Mauer's a Hall of Fame. If Mauer would have stayed a catcher, yes. But he didn't. And he was a singles hitter for a long time in his career. Helton, I don't even care about Coors Field. There's nothing you can do. Babe Ruth will probably, maybe not Babe as much, but, Yankee Stadium, Fenway Park for all the right-handers. I mean, it is what it is. You play in your home stadium, that's what you got to do. You put the numbers up. Good for you. I still don't know if I think all-time greats, if I think Todd Helton. And that bothers me off.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Well, but how did Andrew Jones get left off? I don't I'm with you when it comes to the Hall of Fame. I don't care all that much. I don't even spend much time breaking down the numbers. If I have to think long and hard about whether or not you're a Hall of Famer, I'm just not. You're not a Hall of Famer.
Ding, ding,
it should
ding.
be very quick.
Right there.
Yeah, she should be quick in my mind. Were you one of the best? Yes, you're in. I don't need to worry about, well, you only hit 250 on the road against lefties, so I don't think you're going to be I don't do that nonsense. But Andrew Jones was one of the best baseball players playing in the outfield. I don't care about the showmanship. I don't care. Maybe he had off the field issues. People brought up the domestic problems he has had. How is Andrew Jones not a Hall of Famer?
I think the problem with Andrew Jones, I think, is pretty easy. Are we going to start letting in guys with less than 2,000 hits who are big-time home run hitters? I think that's your issue there. Because if you're going to let in Andrew Jones, well, then maybe Utley has to get in. Now maybe Rollins has to get in. Andrew Jones is a tough one because everything you said is true. A dynamic center fielder, best of his generation by far as far as fielding center fielder. And he did hit he hit a decent amount of home runs, more than people think. I had to re-look at his numbers. That's kind of the oxymoronic. I may say I don't care about the Hall of Fame, but I still look at the numbers to see, is he going in? Am I misremembering things? That sort of thing. So I looked at Andrew Jones. I mean, we don't give defense enough love, right? Because there's no great stat for it. They're just not. All those stats they have for defense, they don't really measure everything. But we know from the eye test how good Andrew Jones was. Do I think he's a Hall of Famer? Probably not. But I wouldn't blow a gasket if he got in. I wouldn't, because I don't think defense is given enough love here. I think Jones is really on that. He's just on that border to me. So close. But as you just said there, and I 1,000% agree with you, and I've said the same thing, generally, if I have to think about it, I don't think you're a Hall of Famer. You should be in, that guy was great. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. That sort of thing here. So I think too many guys who are, listen, the Hall are very good. We're very good players. You'd want them on your team. I mean, Yankee fan would love them on the Yankees, but probably not a Hall of Famer.
All right, let's check the hockey board. A lot of wide scores here. We got Ottawa 3-0 over Montreal after beating them 6-2 last week. I'm surprised with that. I'm not sure what has happened to the Philadelphia Flyers defense. 4 more goals. They've now given up 16 goals in their last 2.5 games. Of course, I had the under on all of them. How about your Islanders? The Patrick Waugh-led New York Islanders trailing George Vegas 2-1 midway through the second.
3-1 now.
As an Islander fan, give me your thoughts. 3-1 now? Oh, wow, 3-1.
Yeah.
All right, give me your thoughts on Patrick behind the bench, and would you put some shekels Islanders plus 430 down 3-1?
Yeah, Roy's going to have a heart attack on this last goal here. He criticized the Islanders pretty heavily, even after the win on Sunday, because they had, they gave up 17 shots on turnovers. Well, they just turned over it again inside their own zone. Didn't see who turned it over, but they gave it away just outside the blue line. Marchessault scores for Vegas now, so we're at 3-1 here. Vegas. Would I put money on the Islanders? No. This is not a team that's built to come back. They're built to have a 2-1 lead and then try and protect it. They're not built to come back. They don't have that kind of offense here. And Vegas is a damn good team. Vegas, by the way, I bet Vegas tonight only because you had to feel they were a little embarrassed by what happened last night in New Jersey. They gave 6 goals to the Devils there. That's not Vegas. Just not. So I thought they would rebound tonight. Small little play on Vegas here. As for Patrick Roy being hired by the Islanders, I think it's a no-lose situation. They weren't going anywhere with Lambert. I don't think it was all Lambert's fault. I don't. I think everybody deserves blame. Lambert deserved blame. The players deserve blame. Lamoriello deserves blame. All right, Lamoriello built this team. He was handing out contracts, 7-year contracts like they were candy in the offseason to players like Pierre Engvall and Scott Mayfield. You just can't do that. The Islanders haven't had a first-round draft pick since 2019. That's all Lamoriello. He just keeps trading them away because he's 1,000 years old. He doesn't care about 5 years from now. He's trying to win now. This roster's not good enough to win now. They're just not. The Islanders have lost the most overtime shootout games in the NHL. You know why? What do we call overtime and shootout in the NHL? A skills competition. Guess what the Islanders don't have? Skill.
Skill players.
All right? They don't have that, so that's why. That being said, the players can't say, I'm not going to listen to you, coach. Who are you? You're Patrick freaking Roy. You're talking to the Mount Rushmore of goaltenders. He's there. He's number 1, number 2 at worst, maybe behind Martin Brodeur. So they will listen to him. And I can tell you that from friends that were at the game on Sunday, you could hear Roy from the upper deck, which they said you could hear this guy yelling and screaming at the refs, at his players, so he's into it. And Roy does have something to prove. So I think, like I said, I think it's a no-lose hiring. I think it'll make the Islanders more fun because they're a boring team. Lamoriello's a boring GM. Patrick Roy is not boring. Not boring at all. So I think it makes the Islanders a more interesting team. But does it change anything? No, probably not. Not this season. Maybe, if he's there next year, maybe he can change the culture of the team and get different plays that fit whatever system he wants to run there. But for this year, no, the Islanders just don't have the talent and also a truckload of injuries.
George, stay with that game for a second because after last night, you heard a pretty angry head coach for Vegas. You mentioned the 6 goals they gave up. I mean, he called it beer league. Bruce Cassidy was ferociously angry at his team for the way that they played. So I'm with you. That's why I bet Vegas tonight too. But Vegas took the Long Island Railroad to get to the game tonight. Is that normal? Do NHL teams get on the subway to go to games on Long Island? Or was that punishment from Cassidy to say, you guys are going to ride a train to the game? You're not going to arrive in style.
This is not normal. Whether it's punishment or not, I do not know. Scott and I live on Long Island, okay? So it's interesting. Hey, Scott, I wonder if they had to change at Jamaica. All right, I'm going to assume they didn't have to change at Jamaica. But, it's the Islanders, when they were played in Brooklyn, they took the train a couple of times, right? Not all the players. Certain players would take the train to Brooklyn. Haven't heard that since they're playing in Elmont now, where I lived for 20 years. But it was a weird circumstance here. I thought the same thing as you. Is he punishing him this? Or, why would you do that? So I think it's a little bit of punishment. I do. I think there's a little message here. And same as you. When I heard the coach go off like that, whenever a coach goes off on a good team and now they're playing a so-so team next, I don't care if it's on the road. I didn't care that it was back-to-back nights. Yeah, I'm on that team as well for the same reasons as you here. But it's a little funny dynamic. I wonder if Bruce would ever admit to us one way or the other if it was punishment or not.
Oh, it had to be punishment. I mean, though the train does leave you right at at the field or stadium.
That's a pretty long. Have you taken a long walk, Scotty? That's a long walk on a cold night.
And all the skates and all the equipment. How'd that get there? That wasn't on
Make
the
them carry their own stuff,
I'll tell you
right?
that. Yeah. Edmonton going for win number 14 in a row. What I find amazing about this streak, guys, is that no Wayne Gretzky Edmonton Oilers team, no Yvon Cornwallier Montreal Canadiens team, and all those great Canadian teams from Montreal never won more than 12 in a row. Edmonton set the Canadian record for consecutive wins at 13. They go for 14 tonight against a last-place Columbus Blue Jackets team, George. How you going to bet that? You can't lay minus 360. You're going to lay a goal and a half. You're going to take them into regulation. What are you doing with this game?
As for the winning streak, we have to remember, Scotty. All right, NHL changed a little thing after the Gretzky era, right? Now we have shootouts, right? We have overtime. Back in the Gretzky era, we didn't have that. You had ties, right? Sister kissers here. That's true. I think it's one of the reasons why that record is what it is. Maybe a little asterisk there. I'm kidding. I'm not an asterisk guy. You play in the area you play it in. All right, so they're winning the games here. I have tried to figure out a number of different ways to play this game because, like I said, you're not laying that number. You could go with the Rangers here if you want to do a parlay. That gives you down right before the show. I checked again. It was minus 152. It's still a high price to pay, but both teams should win.
I did that last night with the LA Stinking Kings, George.
Yeah, don't start with me. I did too.
The Kings, and
we
look what
all
happened
did.
with Vancouver. Yeah, right?
We all did. You did, I did, Gabe did, Cam did. We all did that. We all got screwed. And maybe we shouldn't have done that, by the way, because the Kings haven't been playing all that well. Maybe that's our fault.
Yeah.
And then they battled back, and you're like, oh, great, they battled back. Here we go. And then they lose in the shootout anyway here. But that's one way of attacking it. I think you mentioned the other way. Just go on the goal line here. One way that I'm going to take it, I'm going to do the parlay with the Rangers as well. Just not play as big a number as I was. That number, by the way, has also gone down about a dime. It was over minus 160 about 7 o'clock. So at 8:45 or 8:40, it's down to minus 150. I wonder if it's going to keep going down a little bit where I get a better number. I'll wait the 20 minutes here. But how about this? Something I've been playing of late here. You could take Edmonton to win the game and pick an anytime goal scorer. I mean, you'll get a much better number there, probably about minus 110, minus 120. It doesn't even have to be McDavid or Draisaitl. Matter of fact, I wouldn't take McDavid. He's not scoring goals. Zach Hyman would be somebody I would look at. Maybe Nugent Hopkins is somebody I would look at. One of the good players, but not the top stars here. So I think that's the way of taking it. You could take also Edmonton to score up more than one goal and a half in the first period. I like that. You might want to take Edmonton minus a goal and a half in the first period as well. If you think Edmonton's going to be up 2-0 after one here. Bottom line is this. I think Edmonton wins the game. We just need to find a parlay partner to go with it if you want to go that direction, or just take the goal line.
The Lightning are up 4-2 on the road against the Flyers. Tampa, 5 goals, 7 goals, 3 goals. They lost to the Red Wings 2-1, but then 4 goals tonight. Where are you on Tampa? And are they dangerous in your mind, given that it looks like their offense has come back back to life?
I don't think they're dangerous, no. I think they'll maybe squeak in the playoffs here. I think this is an older team. Vasilevsky is not what he used to be. He's good, but he's not what he used to be. Hedman, Kucherov's having a fantastic season. Braden Point is still very streaky, but a good player. But it's an older team. Stamkos, by the way, they haven't re-signed to a contract. That's causing some problems there as well. I think it's somewhat a dangerous team, but I don't see them being a cup contending team this year. Philadelphia has their own problems, by the way. We heard Carter Hart today, the starting goaltender, went on a personal leave of absence there. So I wonder if that's part of the problems with the Philadelphia Flyers going on tonight.
That's why. Okay. I knew there must have been something going on with Philadelphia and all the goals they've been giving up. So amazing. George, great job as always, my friend. Hopefully we got some winners here. Best of luck, and we'll do it again next week.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit, had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knicks fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity. Indiana was playing great, didn't play deep, brought him off the bench, and now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going into a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home. But I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA. And they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories, but Raptors responded.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, it's in-game live, prime time. Wrapping up hour number 1 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Matt Perrault and yours truly, Scott Wetzel. Time to get in, though, our Black Cloud, which the game gets underway in just a couple of moments. So a little Black Cloud time here on the grid. Yes. Where are we going to go? This is the play in which we double down our bet, our main bet of the night, and we double it down, which means the boys in Vegas are no way going to allow us to win. So let's put the Black Cloud's power on the Edmonton Oilers. Yep, we can't lay the minus 360. That's crazy. Nobody could do that, right? That would be stupid. So we're going to have them win by 1.5 goals. Even if you win in regulation, it's still 2-1. I can't do that either. So let's take Edmonton, and hopefully they win, even if we need the empty netter. They've won a Canadian record, 13 straight games, 8 by 2 goals or more. They're 4-0 at home, which is maybe the oddity, Matt, of this 13-game win streak. They've only had 4 home games, 9 on the road, believe it or not. So that just goes to show how good this team really has been. So I'm thinking at home, all 4 of the home games, they've won by 2 goals or more. Columbus, last place in the Metropolitan, 3-9 their last 12, only 5-14 on the road. Don't know how Edmonton doesn't win their 14th in a row, and you just got to keep your fingers crossed it's by at least 2 goals. What do you think?
Well, the pros are going to bet the dog, right? I mean, they can't help themselves. They know a loss is going to come up at some point, so take the plus money. So it's ride the streak, bet the streak. I'm right there with you. Bet the puck line, bet them on the money line with a parlay. I like that Rangers-Oilers combination for a dance partner there, given they're playing the Sharks. Even the Sharks at home haven't been horrible. That's the one worry there. The Sharks at home are a different team than the Sharks on the road, but the Sharks have been horrible for the last month and a half in general, so I don't mind that play, taking the Rangers to win on the road. Yeah, I like it. I look, Oilers should very well win this game going away. It shouldn't be close.
Yeah. They have the most shots on, not the most, but one of the better shots on goal, and Columbus gives up the most. So bad combination for sure. All right, we'll look at all the boards when we come back. InGame Live, hour number 2 coming up.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. It's InGame Live, PrimeTime. Hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Scott Wetzel, Matt Perrault until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We got college basketball. More upsets in the making in college basketball. What else is new? NBA slight schedule, some hockey news to get to, and some games that are going to drop the first puck here in a couple of moments. So, Matt, for the new viewers, listeners, what are you keeping your eye on so far tonight?
Yeah, South Carolina with a double-digit home win, knocking off Kentucky tonight was big. I took the 5 there with the Gamecocks at home. South Carolina at home has been a house of horrors for Kentucky, and it continues. Kentucky's now 0-4 ATS going in there, now 1-3 straight up over their last 4 trips going to South Carolina. I laid the 7.5 with UCF up against West Virginia. I love doing this. I did it with Nebraska when they beat Purdue. When you have a team that's not very good and they shock the country with an unbelievable win like West Virginia beating Kansas at home, all those kids are walking around, we're back, here we go. They go on the road and they get absolutely torched by a Central Florida team that's really good. So I laid 7.5. They're up by 13 at the moment with 44 seconds to go. So I feel pretty good about that. And then we're both looking at that late game. Houston up against BYU on the road out in Provo. You like the under. I like BYU. I think the home dog comes in there. I think the under hits regardless who wins the game. I think the under should come in. But the pros are betting the over, which I don't understand given it's a Houston Cougars game and their games almost, 7 out of 10 go under. So my late play will be go ahead and take BYU plus the points. But I got 3. It's 2.5. I'm not sold. I would love it. Ken Palm has it as a 3-point win for Houston on the road. So 2.5 is the number. I would, if you want to buy it up to 3, I don't hate that. I don't always recommend buying points in college basketball, but I think BYU and Houston's going to be a fun one tonight.
Yeah, I love that that thinking there, Matt, with, you have the upset team and then you play against them. And it's fun. I forgot about that one, which was dumb because I had Kansas yesterday saying, okay, they lost at home, so I'm definitely going to play on them, which they ended up winning but not covering, by the way. But I've used that before. The one I did do is not going to come through. And listen, no system is 100% foolproof, right? Mm-hmm. But I played goofy Georgia Tech tonight, thinking Pittsburgh coming off their win against the Dookie Pukies on the road, at Cameron. And how many times can you say that, right? There's no way, 500 club, they're going to go to Georgia Tech and win that game. But they're up 6 with 38 seconds left. So unless something crazy happens, Tech's not going to win. I do have them plus 2.5. And then the other one is Duke. Again, same thinking, like Kansas getting embarrassed like they did. I thought they would just demolish Louisville. I'm laying 14.5. They're up 14 naturally. Minute 8 left or minute 9 left. So I gotta sweat that one out. That's where it just comes down to fickle fate. But my thinking was that Duke would win by 20 going away. You might be okay there. I think Ranieri was saying it last night with me. Sometimes you just got to realize these teams are not the same teams. Like Kansas, maybe just isn't that good. Maybe Duke isn't that good like the old Duke and Kansas teams would rebound from a bad outing.
Is anybody that good in college basketball? I mean, the game that fell off my card, which I'm kicking myself, is Florida State on the road against Syracuse. Syracuse was laying about 2.5, 3 points there, and I was like, I don't like that number at all for Syracuse. I liked Florida State. They're a team that they're really long, they're really athletic, and they're up big. They're up by 13 on the road right now, late in the second half on the road against Syracuse. I think we talked about it a bit in the break, but I think if you're a college basketball bettor right now, you have to look at the spot that these teams are going into. And I hate playing narratives, but I think you have to at least look at where the team is for that one game. And if they're on the road and if they're a ranked team on the road, this has been an absolute disaster. Laying points on the road right now in college basketball is not something I would recommend doing unless you really like the matchup a ton. Home teams right now, it's emotion, it's energy, they play better, and there's not an elite team right now in college basketball. I mean, there's 5 or 6 really good teams, and then there's this 20 or so team grouping that on any given night, they can beat anybody in college basketball. And if you're playing it in their gym, they can beat any of the top 5, top 6 teams easily if they're hitting their shots and playing defense. So we're in for a crazy March Madness. And this is why I think if you're a futures bettor, go and grab some really crazy long shots right now. Like go look at Florida State. Go look at teams that are 30, 40, 50 to 1, because you might find yourself with a ticket in the Elite 8 on a crazy number you can hedge off of, because the books right now don't even know who's going to be at the Final Four this coming season. They think they got an idea. Arizona at times has looked awesome. KU has looked great at times. Houston, Purdue at times has looked awesome. But in other times they look really pedestrian, and on a neutral court, I don't know. I think this is a Cinderella season. We are in for a ride, a George Mason type of year potentially for a team out of nowhere to make the Final Four.
Yeah. I'm wondering, Matt, do the boys in Vegas lower the odds because there are, realistically, maybe 20, 25 teams that if you said, won it all, you wouldn't be that surprised? Or do they raise the odds because there are so many? You don't have the clear-cut favorite, so good luck picking the 1 out of the 25 versus picking the 1 out of the normal, 6, 7, 8.
It's fair. I mean, the only things I've purchased so far, I have a 30-1 ticket on Creighton, I have a 20-1 ticket on Marquette, and I have an 11-1 ticket on Arizona. And I'm going to continue to buy up more long shot teams as we go. I'm looking like I bought Arizona after they lost back-to-back games and they dropped down to 11-1. I'm looking for teams I like. Nice. Kentucky is one of them, right? If Kentucky loses another game, I want to see what Kentucky's odds go to, because come March, Kentucky is going to be a difficult team to face when they get Z comfortable and into the rotation and they really start to play the way they're capable of. Kansas is the same thing. Like, I want to see how KU goes and where it goes, because they're another team that's going to be really tough to deal with when it comes to neutral court games in non-conference settings like the NCAA tournament. But I want big numbers. Like, I don't want anybody.
What's your barometer?
10-1.
What's your 15, 20-1, 25? What is your that's my goal.
Yeah, 10 or higher. Like, I won't go below 10. Right. Like, I got to be able to play off of it. I got to be able to work off of it and have some numbers when they, because I want to start betting against that ticket come like the Sweet 16. So I want to feel like if I bet the team, I want to make sure they can win 2 games in the tournament. And then after that, I can start betting against them. So that's my barometer. It's 10-1 or higher. And can you win 2 games in the NCAA tournament? Can you get out of that first weekend and play in the second weekend? And if you can, then I'll start betting against you. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Auburn's a team you got to take a look at. North Carolina is a team you have to look at. I mean, both those teams are red hot. I've been riding. I'm 6-0 my last 6 bets on the Tar Heels. They hit last night. That team is awesome against the spread. And Auburn and Tennessee are 2 teams that people aren't talking nearly enough about. They're dangerous. They're both really hot right now.
Yeah. North Carolina, I think they were down 1, either up 1 or down 1 at the half before they really turned it all on in the second half. Yeah, ended up covering the spread. So we got number 2, Purdue in action against Michigan. Strange line. I mean, I don't know how this one doesn't hit the over. We'll get Matt's thoughts on that. I thought it was going to hit the over against Iowa over the weekend, and it didn't. Maybe that's the same way. We'll talk about it when we come back in Game Live Prime Time.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit and had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knicks fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity. Indiana was playing great. Didn't play deep. Brought him off the bench. And now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going to a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home. But I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time here, hour number 2. Scott Wetzel, Matt Perrault for another 50 minutes or so. We got Cam Stewart joining us in about a half hour. Get some hockey plays from him, maybe some golf stuff as well, because the tournament starts a day earlier this week because of the conference championship games on Sunday, which is a little weird, but that is the case. So we'll check in with him in about a half hour or so. So two things here, Matt. One, I don't want to put you on the spot, because there's so many conferences and so many games. It's why I love college basketball. It's my favorite betting sport, just because every single night you have 30 to 35 to 40 games that you could pick and choose from. So I'm looking at the MAC tonight, right?
Okay.
And I got Bowling Green. I don't know how much of a MAC fan you are. That's what I mean. I don't want to put you on a spot, but I got Bowling Green. All right, if I told you, forget about who it is. If I have a team that's 14-4 overall, 5-1 in conference play, hosting a team that's 9-9 overall and 2-4 in conference play, what do you think the point spread should have been to start the game in that one? Roughly, obviously.
Well, I cheated because it's 1, so I looked ahead and said to see what the line was. But it's interesting because both these teams stink against the number. So you got a 4-5 Kent State team on the road and a 4-4 Bowling Green team at home. So while they're winning, they're not great against the number. They've won 4 games in a row, and they've covered 3 of the last 4 games. So they're trending in the right direction. Kent State's going the opposite way. They have covered just once in their last 5 games. So they're going the other way here. And on the road, they haven't been good at all. So I would probably lean towards the home team. Again, college basketball, I like the home team here, short number. I would take Bowling Green.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to overtime, tied at 74. I mean,
wow.
But how are they only a 1-point favorite? I have a 5-1 conference team that's won 4 in a row. I think it's either 8 of 9 or 9 of 10 as well. Against Kent State, which is awful, 9-9, 2-4 in conference play. They're the road team, and yet the home team's only laying 1. I mean, sometimes you get these lines that should have been 5.5, 6.5, right?
Maybe. I mean, it should have been, but it didn't go there, right? We're in overtime. So, the books were right. I mean, in terms of the numbers, okay, yeah, but then it's who you played, when did you play them, injuries, who was back, historical rivalries, conference games are always tight. They played, they know each other really well year in and year out. I mean, this is like the problem with betting. I'm with you entirely on college basketball, but I'll show you, this is how degenerate nature I am. So I bet Stony Brook last night up against Hofstra.
I had the over. Yeah.
Okay. The last 44 seconds of that basketball game was the most insane ending I have ever seen a Division I college basketball team do. I mean, they were down 2, and Stony Brook fouled a 95% free throw shooter, which you don't need to foul there because you're down 2 with 45 seconds. Just play defense and see what happens. The worst thing is you're down 5 or you're down 2 or 4. You foul, you're guaranteed to be down 4. Didn't make any sense whatsoever. And then they started jacking threes from crazy spots on the floor, and they lost the game by 6. I love betting college basketball, but you also have to remind yourself that you're betting on 19 and 20-year-olds, and the coaches at lower level D1 schools may not be the best. They may not know how to really, game might be very tough for them to handle, in particular late game situations where you're trying to play the clock versus when to foul, when not to foul. So MAC is part of that thing. The Colonial is another one, the CAA, the MEAC, these are all, if you're a gambler, these targets. We're the only ones betting this. Okay. Nobody else is betting these games, but real hardcore gamblers that love betting college basketball. But there's opportunity there. I mean, there's legitimate numbers. There's softer numbers in those smaller conferences because simply the action's not there. The handle's not there for the books. So they don't pay them as much attention as they do an SEC game or a Big Ten game.
Yeah. And they overcompensate, Matt, what I find for home court advantage. You go to these small little gyms, and there's literally 1,000 people, 1,500 people. No kid is going to be intimidated in those circumstances. And last night, Long Island, there's probably more Hofstra fans there, Battle of Long Island, than Stony Brook fans there. So, But they still make it like you're going to a 15,000, 18,000 seat arena. So we got to shift the line, 5, 6, 7 points. When in reality, it's like, no, come on, please. So. But I did have the over on that game, but I love betting Hofstra overs. And Stony Brook's a pretty good over team as well, but it sounds like I got a little bit of luck there at the end. Not sure how Purdue,
that game was,
Michigan.
That cleared pretty easily for you. I was on plus 4. I took the home dog. I don't think the over really wasn't in question. It was the side that was in question. I mean, there was a 6-point lead with about 3 to play for Stony Brook, and they're at home. Hofstra went on a 9-1 run at the end of that game to get the W and to go ahead and get the cover as well. So that's what burned me. But that's what happens in low level conference games. You'll see massive swings with one guy who can hit a bunch of threes. The best player for Hofstra was cold all night, and then he got hot late, and then that was it. Took him to victory.
Good old Speedy Claxton. How about Purdue? Had their over against Iowa over the weekend, and Matt Evans was like, "How is this not going to get 180 points?" I forget what the over/under was. It wasn't that high, but and Laura showed enough and went under. And then today against Michigan, another they're an over team. Purdue's obviously a high-scoring team. Sometimes I forget about the against the spread and over-unders and just say, are they a high-scoring team or not? Because Vegas can put the numbers high enough where they're going under, but they're still scoring 85 points a game. So tonight it was 152, 153, 151 even, depending on where and when you did your shopping. Off to a pretty good start, 21-10 over Michigan. The over-under's at 153.5. Zach Edey, I tell you, every single time he's my bugaboo in college basketball. I swear every time I bet Purdue, he stinks. I mean, just like 10 points, 3 fouls, first half, out of the game. I don't bet him, and he goes for like 30-plus against Iowa. So, but for me tonight, I wasn't going to lay the 17.5, but I don't know how this one doesn't get to 160 points, no matter what number you got.
Well, Edey's got 0 points right now, halfway through the first half. So Your curse is right on there. So it's 21-10 without Zach Edey scoring for Purdue. So that's a good news. 4 of the last 5 games have gone over for Purdue. They're 6-3 at home to the over. Michigan's 5-4 to the over. Defensively, Michigan is not great. So, I mean, this is a team that last time I bet Michigan was at home against Ohio State because they absolutely had to have it. They went off and lost by 15 points to Illinois. They're just not a very good team on the road. They're not a very good team at home, and they've got a very difficult Big Ten schedule going. So 14-point win for Purdue against Iowa, 21-point win against Indiana, 17-point win against Penn State. You should be okay, but you might be able to get an in-game number as well. If you guys haven't bet this game yet, you may want to you probably could get involved here and probably get a decent number on Purdue. They're going to win this game by double digits. It's just a matter of how many points are they going to win it by.
Yeah. Houston BYU off to a good start as far as the over is concerned, which I'm sitting on the under, but I didn't go too crazy knowing we were going to be doing the show tonight. So they got 36 points, and the over-under is now up to 144.5. Somewhere along the line, I'm telling you, this is Houston. Somewhere along the line, Matt, we're going to get a 4 or 5 minute stretch where 2 or 3 points are going to be scored. I think that in game now, 144.5 is a pretty good play on the under.
I would agree. And I'm not watching it. I'm monitoring it. It's 18-18 halfway through the first half. And it looks like both teams have been red hot shooting. So 7 of 13 for Houston and 7 of 14 for BYU. That is not continuing. Like, not with these two teams defensively. You are not shooting 50% against Houston, and you're not shooting 50% against BYU. So this is just a fast start. These teams are going to cool off pretty quickly. So yeah, I mean, you get a much better number than what was pregame. I think the under's a good play there.
Yeah. Creighton leads Xavier 38-37. Xavier knocking Creighton out of the Big East tournament last year. Tempted to go with the Blue Jays, but boy, I just hate betting on favorites in the Big East. You talk about a balanced league. Anybody can beat anybody anywhere. So line's down to 5.5 with Creighton final seconds of the first half. High scoring game, 157.5. So quick break. We'll come back and look at all the other lines when we return. InGame Live, PrimeTime.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit, had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knick fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity. Indiana was playing great. Didn't play deep. Brought him off the bench. And now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going into a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home. But I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time here. Scott Wetzel and Matt Perrault watching some baskets, a little NBA, a little college basketball, a little hockey as well. Cam Stewart will join us in about 20 minutes. We'll go over some hockey, some NFL stuff with him. I do have a big game, I suppose, a Battle of L.A. Lakers and Clippers, the subject of our SGP same-game parlay tonight. All right, that's where we're going to go for our SGP, little same-game parlay, a series that's, for the most part, really been dominated by the L.A. Clippers, believe it or not, although the Lakers are 2-0 versus the Clips this season, which is one reason why I like L.A., the Clippers. I don't think they're going to lose 3 times to a really inferior Lakers team. So we're going to go conservative, though. We're going to grab the Clippers on the money line. I'm not going to lay the 9.5. That is too big of a number. So let's go Clippers minus 355 on the money line. We're going to go Kawhi Leonard, 20 points or more, minus 360. Again, that's lower than the number that he normally has. There you go. He's had 20 or more points in 4 of his last 5 games, and he only had 15 versus the Lakers earlier this month, or last month actually, in a loss. So I'm thinking he's going to be extra pumped to play again. We're going to go with Russell Westbrook, 10 points, as you see there, minus 210. He's had 10 or more points in 4 straight games. And final one, we'll throw you one Laker, Anthony Davis, getting 8 rebounds. He's had that in 10 of his last 12 games. That's just to bump the odds up a little bit. I'd be shocked if he didn't get that. So it's not that you got to pay a lot, plus 154. My goal was to really be able to get the Clippers at basically pick-em odds or better, which is what we have, instead of having to lay the 9.5. And that was the goal. That's what we accomplished. So I think as low as the Clippers win, we'll hit these numbers. So, been a really, like I said, Matt, a series dominated by the Clips. Except for this year, in which the Lakers have actually won the 2 games. Any thoughts on that game tonight?
It's such a weird handicap because the Lakers are the road team, but they've played 4 straight games at home. The Clippers are the home team, right, and they've played 2 straight games at home. So there's no travel. It's a big number, and you have a road team that's playing in their home building, and they just played 4 games in that building. So, it's a very awkward handicap for that reason, just because you don't have your normal travel to factor in, saying, all right, they're having to get on a plane and fly, and they had just came up with a long home stand, first game on the road. People like to fade teams when they're going on road trips, their first game on the road. Well, no, there's going to be tons of Laker fans in that building tonight, and yeah, the lights will be on. It's about in different color on the court, but it's the same place you're going to drive where you've been driving to, same bed you've been sleeping in the last last 5 games, same locker rooms that you've been using. So, for that reason, I think you're right about staying away from the line. The line concerns me. 9.5's high. That seems to be heavy. So I like the money line play more than laying the 9.5 there.
Yeah, that's just too many for a rivalry series like that. So let's hope the Clippers win. A lot of blowouts. Listen, another under for the Indiana Pacers. Man,
wow.
Denver wins 114-109. I will say this. The Pacers, are changing their style. I don't know if that's by emphasis or just by design or by you don't have Tyrese Halliburton. They are 1-6 now, Matt. So it's not like they're winning these games, but Joe and I were talking about this last night. They're not even coming close. Like the over-under, they even dipped it into 237.5. It was in the 240s all the other games, and they finally lowered it, to 237.5 and 223. These Pacer games are not even coming close to going over. So I think it's supposed to return in a couple of games, but I'd keep on playing the unders.
Right. I mean, they're now 1-4, 4-1 to the under over the last 5, 7-3 to the under over their last 10. Now, including tonight's eight of last 11 to the under for Indiana. I think what it is also, and I don't know if this is going to be a big narrative, but it was a narrative right after the in-season tournament that both the Pacers and the Lakers both talked about being tired and that they had been playing high-level basketball, and it was hard for them to just go and play these postseason type games and have the intensity of the play-in tournament and then go back to regular season games. Then Halliburton gets hurt, and people are going to go, well, wait a minute. Did the injury, because they're playing in these in-season tournament games, did that push towards an injury so the best player gets hurt? But clearly the Pacers have decided that they are not going to play the way that they played for most of the season, which is basically an AAU game. No defense, just run and score as much as possible and try to get down the court as quickly as you can. That's now not happening. So, yeah, until Halliburton comes back, the books haven't adjusted yet because, well, I mean, the pros were betting overs in Indiana games. That's really rare. You don't see professionals bet overs as much as they were for Pacers, and that the books have left those numbers up high, thinking the pros might come back and bet over again. So, and watch, we're going to get like a 225 game at some point. It's going to go back to like a normal total, and they'll score 260. It'll go over by 40 points. So that's the worry. I think the books are concerned about that potential, having that game be out there, that a 140, 120 game might be coming soon.
Yeah, I hope it does. As a guy who plays the under, because you need one of those every once in a while to show the books, okay, yep, we can get to 260. So they'll keep it maybe higher, thinking that's going to happen a lot more than what it really does, versus just all these things being in the 220s, 230s. So, but yeah, unfortunately you can't play that way. Although they were winning, so it's not like I'm saying they're not going to be able to win, but just. Guys get tired out and everything else, and you just can't continue to shoot that way. If you watch their games, right, not only were they going up and down the court, they were actually hitting their shots. I mean, it wasn't just layup after layup after layup. It was like three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer, and they were hitting them. It's like, holy fudge, So that's tough to maintain.
It was Halliburton. It was Halliburton. It was the supporting cast. I mean, we haven't really seen them with Pascal Siakam yet as to what that team's going to look like post-trade when you get Halliburton back on the court and you get Siakam there. So I think the Pacers are going to be an interesting team come the postseason once they get all their pieces in place and their matchups, who they see. I wouldn't want to play Indiana if I'm a Celtics fan. I don't want Boston lost to them in the play-in tournament. I don't want to see Indiana if I'm an Eastern Conference team in the postseason. They've only gotten better. Now they've kind of pushed all their chips in, and they better be able to re-sign Siakam, but they've got a team that's good enough to make noise in the postseason. It will depend on who they wind up facing off against, however.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing with Siakam, boy. I tell you what, you talk about handing the hammer over to a player. You have to max him out, otherwise he's out the door. You gave up 3 number ones. I don't know if I would take that chance. I don't. Knicks and Nets going down to the wire. Nets actually leading by 1, 97-96. Unders looking halfway decent, 214.5. I'm on that with 4 minutes left. They're giving you 214.5. That's 15, 16, 17, 18. That's 22 points in 4 minutes. Don't know. Basically, it's pick 'em on that one. And then the Jazz kind of hanging around New Orleans down 12. And Utah, it's kind of funny. Every time I look at this line, Matt, we had a big favorite in New Orleans jump out to an early lead, maintain a lead. They have a 12-point lead, yet the line is only 10.5, which is only 3 points higher than what it was, 2.5 points higher than what it was to start the game. And they got a double-digit lead, and yet they're not building that thing. That kind of tells me the boys in Vegas think, for whatever reason, the Utah Jazz are going to keep this thing close.
For sure. By the way, if you want a dance partner, we're talking about that parlay we were going to put together hockey-wise with George in the first hour. It's not a bad idea. You may actually jump the odds up quite a bit. UNLV's playing at home against Air Force tonight. Air Force hasn't won a game in 2024 yet. The last time they won a basketball game was on the road against Portland on the 3rd of December. They are getting just crushed by teams on the road. And the Rebels are at home tonight here in Vegas. They're laying 11. I don't love the number, although Vegas has covered 4 straight games. So maybe you want to lay that if you want. They're 7-1 ATS over their last 8. Only 4-2 at home, but in 4-3 on the road for Air Force. But if you want to add in a money line and make it a 3-legger, you can go Rangers. You throw in the Rebels there, and then you come in with the Oilers. You'll probably get, plus 150. You probably get some decent plus money on that with a 3-leg money line parlay tonight if you want to combine NHL late and college basketball late.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. We got Rangers, UNLV. Let me put this together here real quickly. And then Edmonton's already up 1-0. We lost that on that.
It's 1-1 now. They just scored, so you can get a better price on the Oilers. Yeah, it's 1-1. They just scored.
Okay.
So it's tied. You got a chance to get even a better number there on the Oilers. If your book lets you include to do a live parlay.
Oilers, it's minus 210. We'll see what FanDuel pops a number, which I guess would be back up to 360 or 330. Okay. So UNLV, Rangers, Edmonton minus 106. That's not bad.
Even money. Not bad.
Pick them.
That's a
Yeah.
For a 3, you're not going to get plus money on it. But maybe if you or wait and see if the Oilers go down 2-1, you may get a decent, even a better price. If you think the Oilers might actually have to come back. But the first period over is somewhat surprising, although it is the Oilers. Man, they just got to. I know they've won 13 games in a row, but come the playoffs, they've got to figure out their goaltending situation. Like if any team's going to go for it all and go and get a goaltender, look, Skinner just gives up way too many goals. I love the team. I absolutely love what the Oilers into the year. They were my pick. I was like, let's go Edmonton. I was all in on them. I couldn't do it otherwise. Like I had a real tough time looking at it otherwise and going like, what are we doing? How are we doing this with the Oilers defensively? Because they just can't stop the puck. Offensively, they're great, but my goodness gracious, that's just not great at all on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've always been good, right? They've always been great as far as being able to score. But yeah, 950.
We got more to come. Cam Stewart's going to join us on the other side. We'll get into his picks and plays in golf and hockey next here in-game live on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit and had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knicks fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity. Indiana was playing great. Didn't play deep. Brought him off the bench. And now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going into a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home. But I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time here, hour number 2. Time to turn our attention to the NHL. Not, I'm trying to think, NFL, not for long. Not something long. I don't know. Our good buddy Cam Stewart joined us. What's going on, Cam? How are you tonight, bud? Did you come up with something, NHL?
Not hot. I know. I got
not
nothing.
Hot league.
The no league.
The not hot league. Yeah, you got it, Wetzel. I'll accept that as an answer. But we like it. It is hot. But know what it is too? It's also actually that's good, Wetzel, because it's that oven where you tell your kid, don't touch the oven. You know, the sharks
right.
are the sharks are the hot element. Everybody on the Kings last night for that final leg of the parlay. You tell me who was it? Honest to God.
Right.
You guys knew too. LA goes, when that game goes to overtime, you're thinking, if LA doesn't win in overtime, you know San Jose's winning the shootout, don't you? Like we talked about it on our show. Then once the locks came on, once you went to jail and he puts the lock in the cage, you're done. So anyway, Scott, this fading San Jose stuff, I don't know what to do. Like this league's insane. Like it's just the Kings got real issues. You can't beat the Sharks. Well, you need help. But anyway, it's a parlay killer. We'll see tonight. We got Buffalo and Anaheim guys, and we got the Rangers against Wetzel's SJ Sharky. Back to back. Rangers laying a lot of lumber, Scott. I don't know. I'm taking Buffalo in the game. I'm going to take them in reg, but to be honest with you, I don't know what to do with this Rangers-Sharks game. I almost want to take the Sharks. The Rangers had a lot of problems with Anaheim, but then they woke up in the third period. So am I that crazy to do that, or is daylight dollars short? You think the Rangers are a lock, guys?
I think they're a lock, but I think if you look at just the way the Sharks have played this season, they're different at home, and it's difficult to fade them. I mean, they've been atrocious on the road. The puck line's been incredibly profitable for them on the road, fading them. But at home, I can't tell you how many times I've included the Sharks this year in parlays, and it's burned me. So this is the fear factor when it comes to fading them.
Here's another thing, Matt. It's interesting. This is in your backyard coming up, and I learned a lot about UNLV. I love taking them as a road, like as a dog, but now they're laying 10.5 to Air Force there. Air Force has been playing a little bit better, total 131. Do you got opinions there? I was actually thinking about taking the dog. That looks like a lot of points, but UNLV is playing a lot better basketball.
Yeah, we just talked about it. They've covered 4 straight games, but the Air Force hasn't won a game yet in 2024. Their last win was in early December. So they're tough to go again. I think if you want to, we talked about a parlay option. I think you can include UNLV in a parlay. Just take a money line. They'll win the game, but I don't trust them to win by double digits. I think that's too heavy of a number for even in conference play. Air Force is bad. I feel way more confident about UNLV winning the game, but by 11, I don't know. I think the dog's live there to cover.
I agree with you. That's the thing. I think UNLV will win, but asking them to win by 11, that's too much. Boise State has been awesome. I don't like to lay 5.5 on the road, but I would lean that way. Maybe, guys, we throw that in the parlay too. Rangers, Boise, and UNLV. We could do something along those lines. And the Sabres, maybe I'll bet try like a 4-banger tonight. So we will see what happens there. Clippers and Lakers. I like the Clippers. I don't like to lay that kind of number, but if they really want to, I probably think they'd blow these guys right out of the gym. Matt, we must have had a good week together because we were on the same NFL picks. And if the Buffalo Bills would have won that game, we would have gone perfect. Would have gone 7. Anyway, like we hit the teaser.
because San Francisco, and we hit Green Bay plus the points. Everything worked out great, but old Buffalo Bill, you guys should hear the radio stations here. Like it's just, it's actually sad. Like I used to laugh at it for comedy, but it's not funny anymore. It's just to a point of like major depression, like talking about firing McDermott and this and that, and I don't know what the hell's going on with this team. There's so many great people I know that love the Buffalo Bills, and it's just the same old story. But we move forward this week, guys. Initial leans, Matt. I'm not sure how you feel about this. I know Wetzel. I usually take dogs, but I'm looking at both favorites right now. I'm looking at Baltimore and I'm looking at San Francisco.
I bet it as soon as it came out. I got 3 and I got 6.5. And I knew once those numbers popped in Vegas, it was interesting because most of the country opened up at 3.5. Vegas opened at 3 for the Ravens, and I jumped on that, and they opened at 6.5 for the Niners, and I took that as well. So if the number climbs, I guess my hope would be that it climbs, both numbers climb, and I may be able to middle 4 and middle 7. I don't know if we get off those numbers and how much more action we're going to see. I think the books are pretty comfortable with where they are with those two numbers. But it's just, I think what's so wild about the narrative around Buffalo, and look, I'm a Patriot fan, so like a part of me is a little bit happy about that. But it's just, you look at when you can't, the AFC is only going to get better. That's why I think Buffalo Bills fans are so upset, because it's not just Patrick Mahomes you got to worry about. It's not just the Bengals you got to worry about. It's just the number of teams. If Harbaugh goes to the Chargers and he's got Herbert, what he's going to do there, it just feels like that window is closed or closed in for Buffalo. And that
Cleveland's
was their chance, right?
Yeah,
Cleveland's good.
Deshaun Watson's
Texans
going to come back. They almost won with a freaking 4-string quarterback who's 40-something-year-old. Miami, they're still a wicked team. They were banged up. I think the Texans are going to be amazing. They just ran into a buzzsaw. Baltimore still, they're still going to be good
one
for a
seed's
while.
Baltimore. Yeah, I mean, all the quarterbacks are under the age of 30. All these great quarterbacks are young around the AFC. I think that's the problem with Bills and the Bills' future is like you have Josh Allen. You've got the quarterback that can win a championship. But it's got to be – you can't win at home when you have the Chiefs in your place. That was always the excuse. We'll get them in Orchard Park. We'll beat them. And then you miss a kick and you don't take advantage of opportunities. And I mean, that fourth quarter under for the Chief trend is ridiculous. 18-1 fourth quarter unders. Like that is unbelievable.
17-2 second half.
I'm watching Klein, a guy that, no offense, I can almost beat in a running. I think I can actually. Like Morency see me run like for a big guy. I ran like a really, really low time when we did that NFL experience stuff because I used to play defensive end in high school. I just quick on my feet, whatever. And I'm watching him chase down Kelsey. I'm like, wow, Kelsey's now 5 yards ahead, 10, 20. Okay, we're done. That's the end of that. That's the thing. The Bills were banged up too, but you're right. Their window and some of the guys that they have on their team getting a little long at the tooth, but we will see, guys. I like your style, Matt. I'm with both favorites this week, and I'm going to tease them too. I know they say don't tease through a number, but at 3.5, I would even do a 7 and get Baltimore at 3.5. Hey, man, think about this. All those people. And we talked about this, guys. So say you did a 6-point teaser because you're one of those guys that never changes. You lose that San Francisco game. You do a 7, you win.
Correct.
That's simple. That's the way I look at it, right?
Me and you. Right. Me and you.
Juice is not a problem. And Brady Cannon talked about it too. Sometimes you have to adapt. Like I do shows with guys that are such sticklers. Oh, never tease through 0. Don't do this. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't want a team who's 9.5 at 3.5. I want 2.5. So a field goal gets me there. And a field goal loses on the hook. So, if you do it the other way. But guys, Matt, good stuff. I'm glad when we're on the same page. I feel very good about myself because we've had a good run. But we got golf this week as well, and it's an interesting time. We go to Torrey Pines for the Farmers Insurance. You can say what you want, guys, right? Wetzel, me and Gabe always laugh. The NHL, they write their schedule on a napkin at the strip club down at the Brass Rail. When you look at some of the things that are happening, like, we laugh. It's just like, what are these guys doing? Like, why are you putting a game at this time? But hey, we love the sport. But the thing is, these guys get it, and the players are like, yeah, you think we're going to, be golfing on Sunday when we want to watch the championship games? So they do. And another smart thing they do, they always have the waste management, the booze up, piss up tournament, the Super Bowl week. So they're already starting. They're already there doing funnels. We go right into it all day into the Super Bowl. Actually, guys, I don't understand why these Super Bowls on Sunday. It should be a national holiday. If everyone's getting ripped and going to Super Bowl parties and stuff like work, wouldn't I get the Monday off or whatever? Anyway, we've been talking about that for years. I think they should actually have the Super Bowl on Saturday, but maybe I'm crazy. But here we go this week. We're going to take a shot here. One chalk and a lot of dogs. So we got Colin Morikawa's 11-1. It's a very simple concept with Colin Morikawa. He's a California guy. Where are we playing? We're playing in California, Torrey Pines. So he's 11-1. It's all about his putter. Sahith Theegala is probably one of the best golfers that people in the know are talking about this guy. And if you get him at 40, he's been bet down to 35, 33 on some sites.
Wow.
But like you, Matt, I got him early. All I know is this: he finished top 5 in this tournament last year. He almost won. And if you're going to give me this guy at 40-1, one of the best ball strikers in the world, I'm going to take it. Keith Mitchell went bananas last week. He was 9 under through 12 holes in his final round. He just ran out of holes. Sometimes that happens in golf, right? He didn't have a very good opening round, and it killed him in the tournament. Very, very good in these California swing tournaments. So Keith Mitchell, watch out for him at 80-1. Now, guys, I got something special coming in from the Orient. The sushi is very beautiful. It's a very expensive quality cuts. Rio Hizatone. Let me tell you about this guy. He's 130-1. People went, like I texted Carver before I did my golf hit. They go, who the hell is this guy? Well, he was on page 1 of the leaderboard last week, and then I'm looking at some results. 16th, 18th, 30th. I'm like, this guy's making tons of money. Nobody's even talking about this guy. All I know, this year, we've had 2 guys coming from rehab, one at 80, one at 300-1, and an amateur win at 500-1. I got to take a shot with this guy. If I don't have him on my ticket, I'm going to be very upset. These Japanese guys, no, I love their demeanor too. No stress, no problems. They're not going to gag if they got a lead. Everything's going to be fine. So, and other than that, Ben Griffin, I like him this week, guys. And Sam, Riders on the Storm for all you Doors fans out there. He was supposed to win this tournament a couple years ago. I remember, I'll never forget it. CBS and Nance and all these guys are interviewing his mom. He had a big lead, and it was a disaster. I felt so bad for his mom because she was like going to watch him win his tournament. So here we go. We got top 20s. We got Keegan Bradley. You take Keegan Bradley every single time he plays in this event. He's in the top 10. I'm going to have a little bit of safety with the top 20 at plus 180. So I like that pick a lot, guys. Scott, I told you about Eric Cole. Remember with the top 20 last week? He finished 21st. Yep. So I'm glad you didn't jump on it. Tony Finau, plus 145, like the teaser. Sometimes you get burned. Tony Finau, hit or miss prospect here, but here's the one thing I know about Tony Finau. He murders the ball. Similar and very streaky. I saw elements of him getting back his game last week. So plus 145 for a top 20 is a very, very good bet. So that's something that I'm looking at, guys. I like a couple other older guys here. Let me go through the list. Hey, there we go. Hey, I love you guys. Jason Day. I told you, Scott, watch out for Jason Day this year. Another quality performance last week. He is plus 180 for a top 20. 2 bombs for top 40. Justin Suh. People who in the golf, he went to USC. A lot of these guys from California love playing the California swing. They know the grasses. They know a lot of things that are going on. So he is plus 145. And my boy, sometimes we have favorites that have come through for you in the clutch. Nasty Nate Lashley. Plus 320 for a top 40. This guy murders the ball. I remember I bet him in the Motor City when he won for me at 150-1. You know what it is, Matt? When somebody comes through for you, even though they haven't been great lately, you still want, like, we're together. We're like a team now. Like, Nasty Nate helped me win like a couple grand, so I can't get off him right now. And my top 10 selection, last week's winner, Max Homa. All I know is this. He could win the tournament. I like Morikawa over him. He's 12-1. Morikawa is 11. But for a top 10 plus 175 for a guy that is absolutely does everything well, drives the ball straight, great wedge player, and probably one of the best clutch putters on tour, plus 175. Max Homa, another California kid in California. Those are the picks.
The golf guy,
the amateur win.
Yeah,
go ahead.
What's up?
The amateur win last week. Not a single bet was placed on him at the Westgate here in Las Vegas. Not a single ticket. Not one ticket.
Wow. I do a show with Pat Mayo and Jeff Feinberg. We worked together. Actually, he still does a lot of different stuff online. He worked at the Fantasy before with SportsGrid and some of the guys, me, Gabe, and whatever. We worked at a place called The Score back in the day when we were doing betting 20 years ago when people used to say, you guys are scumbags for betting. Now the same people, you want to work for me? I'm like, oh, okay. That's funny how things change when betting's legalized, jerks? But anyway, he told me a lot of these guys put $5 or $10 on this guy, 500-1. So imagine that $5 bet, $2,500 and sit there going, what an idiot. I should have just put like even $10 on this guy and been there with $5,000. That would have been a nice story. But no, didn't happen.
That would have been real nice.
Not one ticket in Westgate.
Not one.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Those guys are laughing in the room, right, Matt? Oh, excellent.
Keep
on
chips.
betting golf.
Take the chips.
Cam and Gabe, top of the hour, folks.
Thanks.
quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't
favorite.
care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit and had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knicks fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity in Indiana, was playing great, didn't play deep, brought him off the bench, and now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going to a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home, but I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. InGame Live, Prime Time, wrapping up shop here. Quick little 2 hours. Don't forget Cam and Gabe at the top of the hour. They'll take you over the next 3 on the TV and radio side of things. Matt, are you a tennis guy at all? We don't generally talk too much tennis, but no? Okay.
Tennis and horse racing are the two things I know absolutely nothing about. I know the Australian Open's going on right now. That's all I know.
Yeah. You have a line tonight. I'll throw it out real quickly for people. The Joker is only minus 235 against Yannick Sinner, who is the number 4 seed and who has been absolutely cruising. But you never, ever, 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 ever see a line with Novak Djokovic this low unless it's against one of the big two, Rafi or whoever. Not the Yannick Sinners of the world. So you put him in a parlay with Alcaraz at minus 480, and that's a minus 139. The top 2 tennis players by far, and you can get them minus 139. That's where I'm going to go tonight for the overnight action. So, any
is there a spread?
For you?
What's the spread on that on Djokovic?
That's not a bad. I didn't look. I just saw the money line. But I'm sure there generally is a points, game spread.
Yeah, game spread. So, I mean, if it's like 5-4, 5-6, I mean, what the spread is, you may be able to go ahead and just take. You might get minus 110, minus 150, somewhere in that range. If the money line price is so low,
3.5,
maybe able to 3. Okay,
minus 1.
So minus 110, right? A 1-1. Okay.
Yeah.
So then that's the way you play it.
132.
Okay, but if you want to play it like that, I wouldn't mind laying the games on Joker there.
Yeah.
And take that better price if he's going to, the best player in the world, see what he does tonight. So that's not bad. No, I'm going to sweat this Houston BYU game. I'm on the dog, and it's been a nice little run for Houston there. So they're up 7 at the break. So we need the Cougars to come to life here a little bit.
Yeah, I still like the under on the game. It's 148.5. They had a 75-point first half. I doubt they're going to have a 75-point second half. I really do.
Agreed.
So, Matt, great job, Matt. Appreciate it as always,
Thanks,
my
man.
friend. You
Appreciate
can
it.
watch Matt Friday nights with Sheriff Fan. So, be good, folks.